cemeterians are. And so these people all spoke about their relationship with the couple, and one of the nice things about it was that people from various stages of their life got to know each other, which they didn't up until that time. And so I think whatever article, the Plain Dealer article Susan was quoting, that's really a good idea.
Yeah.
If you want a memorial service to be a certain way, plan it and do it while you're still alive.
And I think you see a little bit more of it. You're also seeing not the traditional afterwards, going to a cemetery or a church. You see people going for their life services at bars and whatever brought the doc or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, really, it's whatever works for everybody. That's what you need to do.
In addition to hospice, there are also programs that are starting up called death midwives or death doulas. These are people that can come and sit with the dying. They do not do any medicine. The hospice would take care of that. But they can be there at times when a hospice worker can't or the family can't. So that might be something to look into too.
Right. You do have to pay them.
It depends on the person.
Oh.
Yeah.
There are some free programs like that too, like threshold singers and people like that.
No one dies alone.
I have a question. There's organization in Ohio, I think all over states. It's illegal, but the name is Final Exit. Are you familiar with that?
Well, I think it's similar to what the other gentleman talked about. These are more like assisted living, deaths, assisted suicide.
Deaths,
yeah.
right. So
I'm personally not.
Not everybody is so fortunate to have family and friends and advocates. Do you know anything about?
Well, in Ohio, they're not legal yet.
They are not legal, but if you are alone, nobody's gonna be charged.
That's a risk you have to take.
That's all you risk. So.
Yeah, I don't morally have anything against them. I just try to stay with the law, and then try to provide people.
You wanna protect your family, but if you don't have any,
right.
It's not.
But I remind you that you do have a bigger family. You have a community family.
Well,
you have hospice family.
Not always. I was going through period of time with palliative care, and I had nobody. So I want to be prepared for the next step on my own. So I was thinking about Final Exit.
Yeah, I don't know any details about it, but I wouldn't say that you shouldn't look into it. I just say also look into getting hospice too if you get to that point.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We had a strange experience. My husband was in Menorah for 5 months. He had broken his leg, and he was sinking. And they were going to move him to the hospice floor. And he had sort of thought that, and he said, well, I don't think that I'm dying. I really don't want to be moved there. Well, so a few days later, they called me. I had just gotten back from tennis, and they said, we think that you should be here at Menorah with your husband, that something has happened, and we really think that the time has come. So I went, and before long, then I called my daughter to come. She was at work, and she brought her dog. And I want to tell you, I cannot believe. So all night long, we were with my daughter, her son, who was at Oberlin and had come, and I was there, and the dog was there. And they did the most wonderful job of feeding all of us, including the dog. And so it really was sort of a beautiful kind of experience. Unfortunately, he could not talk, but he was comfortable and at peace.
Yeah, the dog probably did.
And the dog.
There was an article in the paper a couple of weeks ago, and it said that more and more elderly people failing to live alone at home have kids who are older and who are being asked to come and take care of them at a time in the kid's life when they normally would be retiring and beginning to enjoy life, you know. And so I'm 75 and my boys are in their 40s, and we met recently, and I told them that, you know, when I get to be at that stage, that I'm perfectly happy to go to a nursing home, and my wife is too, that they don't have to twist themselves in their lives all around. And I thought that was a useful conversation to have with my kids, that they knew they didn't have to, you know, first of all, one lives in Chicago and one lives in Toronto, and that they don't have to, you know, twist their lives around to come and change my diapers and whatever it is needed. So.
Well, that is a great gift, but just remember, much of the population can't afford to pay for nursing home, you know, unless they become Medicaid eligible and get a Medicaid bed. It's extremely expensive assisted living and nursing homes, that's number one. And I'll just say, for those of you that your children, or if there are any people in here that have to care for your parents, there is a grace that you receive in caring for others. You know, and there's a grace in receiving the care, that you allow yourself to be cared for by others, even though it's maybe humiliating or maybe, you know, not comfortable to have your kids change your diapers and stuff. But to allow yourself to do that for others when it's uncomfortable for you builds your character, and also it strengthens the relationship. So I think it could be a combination of everything. People that can afford and go do that, that's great. People that can't, maybe there'll be a Medicaid bed, but there will be a lot of families now going forward that have to take care of each other. And so, you know, just try to get help, because it is hard to do on your own, so.
My husband was very strong-willed, and we had hospice for him when he was dying. And my daughter lived in Boston, and she got a flight and came to see him. And the hospice nurse came in after Laura had spent some time with him, and she said, "Mike, it's okay. Laura has seen you. You've seen Laura. You can let go. You can go." And a few hours later, he was gone.
Yeah, those are what they call the good deaths, you know. Not everyone can be that perfect, you know, but it's complicated. It's complicated getting in the world, it's complicated getting out, but just get help, get a friend, get an advocate.
This is a little takeoff of what Mark said a little while ago. I had a friend that was 106, and he just decided he lived long enough, and he was starving himself to death.
Yeah.
He was still in very good physical condition. And I was really not too happy with this, because I really enjoyed his company, and I didn't want to see him go. But he decided that he wasn't going to have a memorial service, and there wasn't going to be an obituary. But people found out that he was in the process of passing gradually, and they come and visit him, and it was like a living memorial service. And I really changed my mind. I thought that was a pretty good way to go.
Yeah.
And one other thing, you're being Irish, did the potato famine have anything to do with your longevities and things of that nature?
Well, we eat potatoes with every meal, and I get very insulted if people throw away potatoes. You know, my parents came over in 1949, so, you know, but whenever I go back, I've been to Ireland, I go back frequently, you always get to go see where the people were evicted to, and I mean, it's a real living legend for me, you know, but my parents had a strong faith and a strong connection to family, and kind of never a negative attitude, you know. I, like your friend, my mom, she was 91, she was living with me, and she was a good hearty drinker, and so she's laying in the bed in our room, and she had people coming every day to visit her, and I'd have to go in the room with her, and she'd nod her head at me, and I'd have to go get them a drink. And I was like, really? And, you know, they would be doing their life review with her, and then she would whisper, what about me? And I knew she couldn't drink, you know, like she was not feeling good, but she didn't wanna make them drink alone, so she'd get a little bit of Baileys and sip on it, yeah.
We have time for one more question.
I think education is important when you have somebody that's going through the dying phase of their life. There are stages that the body goes through. The idea of they decide that they're not gonna eat anymore, then they stop drinking, and then they sort of kind of pull into themselves. And knowing that that's a totally natural progression, you know, because so many times people, oh, you've gotta eat, or you've gotta drink. It's like, this is their choice, this is their body shutting down, getting ready for that final jump to wherever.
Right. And then when you're in hospice, they give you a little book called Journey's Path, and it kind of goes through some of that. And the other book I would recommend, it's just an easy read, it's old, it was written by 2 hospice nurses back in the 80s when they first started like chronicling their stories. It's called Final Gifts. And it talks about a lot of the visioning that people do when they're leaving this world, and how those words and those fragmented phrases that they say really do mean something. And so encouraging people to write those down and see the meaning. And there's like 14 stories in it, and it's always about the people, you know, saying, I gotta pack my bags, I gotta get in line, I gotta get the train, seems to be disorganized. I mean, there's consistent themes, and it's a really good book to give people when someone's dying, because it kind of teaches them to catch the phrases that their loved ones are saying that don't make a lot of sense right now. And then when they're gone, you're like, oh, I think they were talking about this. So it's a good book by Maggie Callahan.
What?
Final Gifts.
Final Gifts in the.
Maggie Callahan, and I think the other one is Pat Kelly.
I'd like
You
to.
can get it at the library.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'd like to thank Judy for a wonderful presentation. Next Sunday, October 6th, our community forum is Election Security and Equality. The speakers are Tony Perlotti, who's the director of Cuyahoga County Board of Elections, and Justin Buchler from CWRU, associate professor of political science. In 2 weeks, on October 13th, there'll be a community breakfast in this room, and we invite you to come and enjoy the food and friendship and discuss whatever you wish with the people at your table. You're invited to this morning's service upstairs with Reverend Joe Cherry, our parish minister, aided by Mike Carney, our director of music, examining the unfulfilled promise of our nation. And there will also be music by John Sanford Smith, Irving Berlin, Neil Diamond, and Woody Guthrie throughout the service. So thank you all for coming, and thank you, Jim, for a wonderful day.
I have a question. Sure. Thank you so much.
What Roger said, someone who decides to stop eating and drinking, but they don't have they're healthy otherwise, but they're just so frail. So does hospice, how does hospice fit in?
Okay, so if they don't have a terminal diagnosis, they contact